A note fell from the library book, and it knew her name. Warm welcome to every learner listening with an open heart. This is Learn English Through Story. If the tale touches you, consider subscribing and watch until the end to see what choice she makes and why everything changes. Lena stared at the paper as if it were a shy animal that might run. The message was short, written in clean blue ink. Lena Kovalenko, meet me where the city forgets the river. Tomorrow, 6:17 p.m. You'll bring the red key. The words were steady, no smudges, no mistakes, as if the writer had never doubted a single letter. She did not own any red key. She did not know a place where the city forgot the river. Yet the note said her full name with a calm certainty that tightened the skin on her neck. Outside the window of the public library, Kiev's September light leaned long and golden, turning dust into tiny meteors. The librarians moved like gentle ghosts among shelves, their footsteps soft, their lives predictable. Lena had come for quiet, for a corner where English verbs could stop fighting in her head and finally make peace. She had promised herself discipline. 10 new words, 2 grammar drills, 15 minutes of reading a slim paperback about gardening. Simple, useful, safe. Then the note had arrived like a door opening in a wall she didn't know existed. Her first thought was that someone played a trick. Her second was stranger. Maybe the future was writing to her. She looked around. A boy in a gray hoodie dozed over a map. An old woman copied a recipe for plum jam into a notebook with careful loops. On the far side, a man in a navy suit read the business pages and tapped a pen against his teeth. Steady, steady, steady. None of them seemed like secret messengers. None of them knew her name. She folded the note, unfolded it, held it to the light. No watermark. No address. Only the time, 6:17, like a private code. The number made her think of trains slipping through platforms, of small windows between one life and the next. She checked today's date on her phone, and then tomorrow's. She had a tutoring shift at 5, after which she usually went home, made buckwheat, watched English videos, repeated phrases out loud until her tongue grew warm. It wasn't a bad life. It wasn't a brave one. The phrase, where the city forgets the river, throbbed in her mind. Kiev had many places near the Dnipro, but forgetting a river felt like a sin. Still, the word suggested edges, bridges, underpasses, the neglected places beneath celebration. She imagined a scene between water and street, a quiet cut in the city's bright face. If someone wanted not to be found, that would be the place. "Excuse me," she asked the librarian with the copper pin in her hair, "is there a map of walking paths near the embankment?" The librarian smiled as if she loved maps more than chocolate. She returned with a folded guide and a whisper. "The river keeps secrets. People do too." Lena traced paths with her finger. There was a service tunnel near the old tram bridge, a fenced stairwell that led down to a strip of concrete where fishermen sat at dawn. There was also a forgotten landing under a shopping center, closed since the spring floods. Forgotten landing. The words hummed like electricity. She slipped the note and the map into her bag. On the exit steps, a breeze lifted her hair and brought the smell of hot bread from a nearby bakery. It would be easy to go home, to let the paper become only a strange memory. Easier still to laugh at it and drop it into a bin. But the ink had spelled her name with such authority that ignoring it felt like ignoring herself. A red key, it poked at her thoughts. She owned only one key that wasn't silver, a small plastic key card to her building, burgundy, almost red, with a chip that beeped at the lobby door. Could a note know that? No. And yet tomorrow, 6:17. The minute caught her like a hook. She took a slow breath, the way her English teacher taught before difficult sentences. Choices, like verbs, have tenses. The decision she made now would soon become the past she carried. She nodded to the open air, to the curious evening, to the idea that fear can be a compass. Somewhere in the city, the river shimmered like a thought she hadn't yet learned to say. The next day came heavy with clouds. The city wore a silver-gray mask, its streets wet and shining like mirrors. Lena's tutoring shift finished at 5. As always, her student, a quiet boy with hair that fell into his eyes, repeated the English phrase she had written on the board. "I am on my way." He smiled when he got it right. Lena nodded, encouraging him. But inside, her mind was a river swelling towards 617. At 6 o'clock, she stood at the edge of the tram bridge, the map folded in her pocket. Beneath the steel and stone, the Dnipro whispered against forgotten steps. She descended a stairwell that smelled of rust and rain. The city above grew fainter, as if she were sinking into a place between memory and dream. At the bottom, there was the landing, just as the librarian's guide had shown. Cracked concrete graffiti, the ghost of a closed kiosk, and the river stretching dark, patient, endless. 6:14. A breeze pushed at her jacket. She touched the burgundy key card in her pocket. Absurd yet magnetic. A red key the note had commanded. At 6:17 exactly, she heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate. A man emerged from the shadows beneath the bridge. He was tall, his coat long, his shoes polished despite the mud. But what caught her breath was the object in his hand. A pocket watch, face turned outward, ticking audibly as though time itself wanted to be heard. "You came," he said. His voice was calm, not surprised, as if he had written her role in the scene long ago. "Who are you?" Lena asked, her words sharper than she expected. He did not answer directly. Instead, he raised the watch and held it between them. The hands were unusual, 3 of them, not 2. Hours, minutes, and a thin, crimson one that trembled, quivering like a compass needle. "This watch," he said, "chooses moments. It told me about you." Lena's throat tightened. "That's impossible." The man smiled, not cruelly, not kindly, but as if impossibility amused him. "You have the red key?" Her hand hovered over the pocket, where the burgundy key card lay. She hesitated. "Why me? What do you want?" The crimson hand shivered violently. He glanced at it, then back at her. "Because tomorrow is fragile, and you are meant to decide whether it breaks." The river lapped against concrete, like a whisper of applause or warning. Lena felt the pull of 2 worlds, the safe one above with lighted shops and warm bread, and this darker one where time itself seemed to breathe. She thought of her student repeating, "I am on my way." She thought of how strange it was that the phrase, so simple, could mean stepping toward a destiny she had not chosen. The man extended his hand, palm open, waiting for the red key. And in that suspended moment, Lena realized that whatever she chose now would not only decide tonight, it might decide the shape of her whole future. The red key burned against Lena's palm, though it was only a plastic card. She stared at the man's outstretched hand, at the pocket watch ticking with unnerving precision. Every beat felt like a countdown. "No," she whispered, surprised at herself. She slipped the key back into her pocket. "Not until you tell me what this is for." The man lowered his hand. His expression did not harden, yet something behind his eyes flickered, a calculation, like an equation shifting. He closed the watch with a click that echoed louder than it should have beneath the bridge. "Keys are not objects," he said slowly. "They are decisions. The red one unlocks a moment that cannot be undone. If you give it to me, I carry the burden. If you keep it, you will." The wind lifted Lena's hair, carrying the chill of the river. She wanted to laugh at the absurdity. A stranger, a watch with 3 hands, talk of decisions that could break tomorrow. And yet, the note had named her. The time had matched. None of this could be coincidence. "What happens if I walk away?" she asked. He tilted his head. "Then the city will forget tomorrow ever existed. You'll go back to your lessons, your buckwheat dinners, your quiet survival. But something inside you will always know you were meant to open a door and chose instead to stay outside." A deep unease curled in her stomach. She imagined her life rewinding, playing safely on repeat, while beneath the surface something, opportunity, maybe even destiny, slipped away unseen. The man glanced again at the watch. The crimson hand pulsed like a heartbeat. "Time does not wait for certainty. Lena Kovalenko, you have until the 3rd chime." She swallowed hard. "And if I give you the key?" His eyes fixed on hers. "Then you step into the river with me." The phrase landed like a stone. The river hissed against the landing as if it understood. Step into the river. Did he mean it literally? Was she meant to wade into the black water? Or was it a riddle, a threshold she couldn't yet imagine? The silence pressed close. Far above, A tram screeched over rails, reminding her the normal world still existed. Down here, though, normality thinned like smoke. The watch chimed once. Her pulse jumped. She tightened her grip on the key card. She thought a phrase her student had practiced. I am on my way. It suddenly felt heavier than grammar. Was she on her way to safety or to the unknown? The watch chimed a second time. The man extended his hand again. Decide. Her breath clouded in the damp air. She looked at the river, dark as liquid glass. She looked at the stranger's hand. She looked at her own. And as the third chime began to rise, Lena stepped forward. The third chime rang like a bell from the pocket watch, deep and final, its echo vibrating in Lena's bones. She placed a red key card into the man's palm. His fingers closed over it gently, almost reverently, as if she had handed him a living thing, without a word. He turned and walked toward the edge of the landing. Lena followed, her shoes scraping on damp concrete. The river stretched before them, black, endless, restless. The city lights shimmered on its skin, trembling in broken lines. The man held the watch high. Its crimson hand spun wildly now, circling again and again until it stopped, pointing directly at the water. Here, he said. His voice was calm, but Lena sensed tension beneath it, like a string pulled tight. Here what? She asked, her throat dry. The city has forgotten this place, he said. But the river remembers. The key will remind it. Before she could ask what that meant, he slid the key card into a rusted slot hidden inside the wall of the landing, as if the stone itself had been waiting for it. A grinding noise followed, low and ancient, and the air around them seemed to bend. The river rippled in strange patterns. Circles widened, collided, dissolved. And then, Lena's breath caught. The water parted. Not like a miracle from a children's story, not dry land between waves. Instead, the surface split into a glowing fissure, a doorway of light and water interwoven, shimmering like liquid glass. Lena staggered back. What is that? A hinge, the man said softly, between what is and what could be. The fissure pulsed, each beat in rhythm with the watch's ticking. The smell of wet earth and iron filled the air. Lena felt her chest tighten, as if her heart recognized something her mind could not yet name. You will step through, he continued, and on the other side, tomorrow waits for you. But be warned, what you see may not be what you want. And once you know it, you cannot unknow. Her legs felt rooted to the stone. She thought of her small apartment, her student smile, the ordinary safety of grammar exercises and evening meals. Then she thought of all the nights she had stared at the ceiling, whispering questions into the dark, hungry for something she couldn't even describe. The fissure glowed brighter. It hummed, a vibration that seemed to call her name in silence. The man stepped aside. This is your choice alone. Her hands trembled. The watch chimed once more, as if to remind her that hesitation itself was also a choice. Lena took one step closer to the glowing doorway. The light spilled across her face, warm and cold at once. She could see faint shapes within the fissure, streets that looked like hers, people who moved like shadows, a tomorrow half-formed and waiting. Her heart pounded. She whispered to herself the same words her student had repeated the day before. I am on my way. And with that, Lena crossed the threshold. Crossing the fissure felt like falling into a mirror. Lena's skin prickled. Her ears roared with silence. And then, suddenly, she stood on a street that looked like Kiev but wasn't. The sky was the same, yet wrong. Too pale, washed with blue, as if painted with water left over from another canvas. Buildings she recognized stood taller or shorter, their windows glowing faintly though no faces peered out. The tram bridge arched above, but seemed older, weary, leaning toward collapse. Most unsettling of all the people, they moved like actors repeating lines they no longer believed. A woman carried a loaf of bread, but her steps circled back to the same corner again and again. A man in a suit held an umbrella, though no rain fell, and opened and closed it endlessly as though trapped in rehearsal. Lena's breath quickened. What is this place? The stranger stepped through behind her, the watch ticking steadily in his hand. Tomorrow, he said. but a tomorrow that drifts unfinished, because choice has not yet shaped it. Lena stared. The looping figures, the broken rhythm of the city, it was unbearable. They're not real. They are possibilities, he answered. Fragments of what could be. The river remembers them, but only you decide if they live. She shook her head. Why me? I'm just a tutor. I teach irregular verbs and write shopping lists. I don't decide cities. His gaze was steady. Everyone decides, with every small act, with every yes or no. You think you are small, but your tomorrow leans on you more than you know. Lena hugged herself, trying to steady her breathing. Across the street, she saw a boy who looked like her student. He was seated at a desk in the open air, repeating the phrase, I am on my way. But his voice was hollow, looping like the woman's footsteps. The stranger's words throbbed in her mind. Everyone decides. What happens if I do nothing? She asked. He pointed with the watch. The crimson hand quivered violently. Then tomorrow will collapse into repetition, and the city will forget it ever tried to move forward. People will live, but not grow. They will walk in circles, forever carrying bread, forever opening umbrellas. A chill swept through her. She thought of her own routines, the buckwheat dinners, the grammar drills, the nights alone. Safe, yes, but were they circles too? The boy's voice carried again, soft and endless. I am on my way. I am on my way. Lena closed her eyes. She could almost hear the river beneath this strange tomorrow, whispering for her to choose. The man with the watch stepped closer. There is one act that decides, one moment that tilts the balance. You will know it when it comes. But when it does, you must not hesitate. Lena opened her eyes. The boy's looping voice cracked, just slightly, like a record skipping. And for the first time in this fractured tomorrow, something changed. The boy's voice faltered mid-phrase. I am on my... The sound broke, leaving silence where the echo should have been. Lena froze. The stranger with the watch tilted his head, as though listening for a bird that had fallen from its song. The boy looked up. His eyes, so familiar, wide and uncertain, locked onto hers. Unlike the other figures repeating their endless motions, he had stopped. His desk stood empty now, his hands trembling on his knees. You, he whispered. His lips formed the word not like a machine, but like a child recognizing his own name for the first time. Lena's chest tightened. You see me? Yes. His voice was fragile but alive. I'm not supposed to. I was only supposed to repeat. He swallowed hard. But then I heard your choice. The stranger's watch ticked violently, the crimson hand spinning and clattering against the glass as if time itself panicked. What does this mean? Lena asked, her voice breaking. It means tomorrow is cracking, the man said. The loop is failing. And now, the city will demand a sacrifice. The word hung heavy. Sacrifice. Lena moved the boy, kneeling beside him. He looked so much like her student. Same nervous mouth, same desperate wish to be understood. But here he was thinner, almost transparent, like a paper lantern lit from within. Am I real? He asked her. Or only a fragment? Lena wanted to say something comforting, something a teacher would say. You are real. You are enough. But her voice caught. She didn't know if it would be true. The stranger spoke instead. He is tomorrow's question. If you answer wrongly, the loop will close, and this city will fall asleep forever. If you answer rightly, he did not finish. He only looked at the watch, its trembling hand glowing brighter with each tick. The boy clutched Lena's wrist. His skin was cool, almost watery. Don't let me disappear. Her throat ached. I won't. Then you must choose, the stranger said. Whose tomorrow survives, yours or his? The boy's fingers tightened. His eyes were wide with fear, but also with trust. The fissured sky grown above, like glass straining to shatter. People around them kept walking in circles, unaware, their loops tightening. The woman with the bread now stumbled, her path shrinking. The man with the umbrella opened and closed it faster, almost frantically. The city's tomorrow was collapsing, squeezing itself smaller and smaller until someone would have to break. Lena's heart hammered. The choice pressed on her like a weight too heavy to bear. Her own future, quiet and known. The boys, fragile but new. Only one could stand. The stranger lifted the watch. Its face burned red. The crimson hand stopped dead, pointing directly at Lena. "It's time," he said. The world around Lena pulsed like a heartbeat. Every window, every street lamp, every looping figure flickered as if waiting for a breath to decide. The boy's grip on her wrist was desperate, yet light, as if he already knew he might dissolve. "Tell me," Lena begged the stranger, "how do I choose? What do I have to do?" He didn't answer directly. He only raised the watch higher, and its ticking grew thunderous, filling the air like drums before a battle. "Choice is not told," he said. "It is lived." The boy's eyes searched hers. "If you keep your tomorrow, I will vanish. If you give yours to me, I will live. But you—" His voice cracked, fragile as paper in rain. "You will never step back through the fissure." The words pierced her. Never return. No more familiar streets. No more evenings with tea and buckwheat. No more students repeating phrases. She would vanish from her own life like a name rubbed from stone. The boy trembled. "I don't want to steal your life, but I don't want to die before I begin." Lena's pulse raced. She thought of her student in the real world, alive, laughing shyly when he pronounced words correctly. He deserved a future, a chance to grow. She thought of herself, alone night after night, whispering questions into shadows, wishing for something larger. Perhaps this was the answer, but it demanded everything. "Why me?" she whispered. "Why was I chosen?" The stranger's eyes softened. "Because you are still awake enough to ask. Most people walk in circles and never notice." The boy's small voice, "Please." The fissured sky cracked louder, a thunder without clouds. Light spilled from the river's doorway, pulling at her body, demanding resolution. Her mind screamed in two languages, English and Ukrainian. Yet both said the same: this is the end of waiting. Lena took the boy's hand in both of hers. Her tears came hot, sharp. "You will live," she said, "even if I don't." The watch's crimson hand blazed. The stranger gave a single nod. "So it is written." Pain rushed through her like fire. The city reeled. The loop shattered. The woman with the bread dropped it, laughing for the first time. The man with the umbrella closed it and looked up at the real sky. The boy shone brighter, his form filling, his voice clear. "I am on my way." Lena's body grew lighter, her fingers dissolving into air. She felt no fear now, only release. The boy's tomorrow would stand. Hers would be the offering. Her last sight was a river closing, the fissure healing, the city remembering itself. Then silence. Silence. Not empty, but vast, like the pause after music ends and before applause begins. Lena floated in it, weightless. No city, no stranger, no watch ticking its commands. Only darkness that breathed. Then a light, small at first, pulsing like a candle in a draft. It grew, unfolding into shapes. She saw her student again, the real one in the real Kiev. His desk, his shy smile, his careful voice. "I am on my way." But this time the words carried warmth, not repetition. They were alive, hopeful. Her heart swelled. She realized she had not disappeared entirely. She was within tomorrow now, woven into its fabric like a hidden thread. She had given up her place, but her choice lived on in others. Every time the boy spoke, every time he learned, every time he dared to grow, she would echo there unseen but present. The stranger's voice returned, soft and distant, as though carried by water. "Sacrifice does not erase you. It transforms you. You are no longer one tomorrow. You are every tomorrow you touched." The darkness blossomed into scenes. The woman with the bread walking freely, offering it to a neighbor. The man with the umbrella closing it and laughing in the sun. The boy stepping into adulthood with courage. All of them bore her mark, though none would ever know her name. A warmth spread through her. She thought of her lonely evenings, her restless questions. She had always believed her life was too small to matter. Yet here, in the silence beyond the fissure, she saw the truth. The smallest choice can carry the weight of many futures. The river's voice whispered in her ear, not with words, but with certainty. You are not lost. You are tomorrow's strength. And then peace. Dear learner, thank you for staying through all 8 parts of this journey. This story reminds us that even the quietest person, even the smallest choice, can shape the future in ways unseen. Sparkle's grammar and idioms focus. Notice the phrase, weight of many futures, a metaphor showing how decisions ripple outward. The idiom, on my way, became a symbol, moving from a grammar exercise to a powerful declaration of life. Also, the use of past simple she chose, she whispered, for clear actions and past continuous, was floating, was unfolding. To create atmosphere, help the storytelling flow like a film. Speech balloon practice questions for you. 1. Why did Lena give up her tomorrow? 2. What happened to the boy once she made her choice? 3. What lesson does the phrase, I am on my way, teach us in the end? Dove reflection task. Retell the ending in your own words using the past simple tense. For example, Lena chose, the city healed, the boy lived. Glowing star if the story touched your heart. Please like, subscribe, and share it so more learners can join us. And tell me in the comments, what is one small choice you can make today that might shape your tomorrow?